We have seen countless reports since Donald Trump took office, and of course, as time goes on, we see more and more of them, of Americans deciding they're not going to stay in this country. We're going to leave. I personally know a lady that I used to work with, was friends with her. She moved to Spain. And plenty of other Americans have also moved to Spain. Famously, Rosie O'Donnell also moved out of the country. So those who have the means to do it are finally following through on the threats we have seen previous elections. If the other side wins, I'm leaving the country. This time people did it. But of course, that's not always an option for folks. And sometimes even leaving your own state isn't even an option. But that leads me to another viewer question. This one is from Lee Saltdragon, who says, I'm begging for informed, intelligent advice from you, because we all know you understand these things better than most. I have special needs children with severe autism. I'm LGBTQIA+. I live within one of these war-ravaged cities that are currently under attack. The leaders of my state and city are doing their best, but I'm starting to feel that it's time to protect my little ones and leave the country. I know it will be hard to do, so that's why I'm asking for advice. Am I just acting out of fright? Should I wait? Not only is it uprooting our lives, but it will mean starting over with therapy and all the things my special needs kids need, so it's really hard and scary. This is a very tough question. And I do think there's a lot of different things to consider. Now, can I sit here and say, nope, stay where you are, or yeah, definitely leave? No, I'm not going to say either of those things. But what I am going to help to do, hopefully, is steer you and anybody else in this situation in the right direction. And let me begin by saying it's different for each and every one of us. Some people, and especially, this particular viewer, LGBTQIA, special needs kids, extremely targeted, right? We are talking about already two very marginalized communities, and you've got them right there in the same household. So yes, what happens from this administration, what comes out of the right in terms of their legislation, it affects you more deeply. So it is difficult for some people to understand. I mean, look at me. I am a, middle class, upper middle class, I guess, white guy, straight white guy. I am like the least marginalized person in the United States. Like, there's no laws anywhere in this country targeting me. Okay, and I want to acknowledge that. And I think that anybody in my situation needs to acknowledge that. There is not a single law in this country written to target people like me. There are laws targeting women. There are laws targeting the LGBTQIA community. There's all sorts of things that basically target each and every other demographic except all of the ones I fall into. So having said that, my situation is not your situation. Your situation could be much, much worse than mine. And for most people, again, if you're not a straight white, at least middle class white guy, it is worse than mine. So it's difficult, I think, to get somebody who has this that's like, no, just tough it out, it'll be fine. No, I can tough it out. It'll be fine for me. Yes, I'm on the left, and yes, I'm a talker, so obviously I will be targeted eventually, but, in terms of legislation targeting me as a person, that's not going to happen. So it's easier for, I think, a lot of these folks that are like, oh, don't leave, stay put. Yeah, if you're not targeted, then it's easy to say, just tough it out. But we do have people like this particular viewer who asked the question. And so that's what makes this so difficult. And I think the bottom line is what is best for your kids and yourself. If you are in a blue area, you might be a little bit safer than if you were, living down here where I live. So maybe that factors into it. Maybe it is easier for you to stay put and weather the storm. But if there are more targets, if there is more legislation, if there is anything on the national level, then it does become a threat to your existence and your children's existence. And at that point, if you have the means to do it, perhaps leaving this country is not the worst thing. Uprooting, especially with kids, is very difficult. And I can say that from experience because I haven't done it. And I want to. And I have the means to. My wife and I, this is a beautiful area because the beaches are beautiful. Everything else around this area just sucks. I hate it. I hate where I live. Well, my kids love it. And they love their friends. And if it weren't for that, I would have moved. We have traveled all over this country in the last few years, and we have found so many different places that we love, and we're like, God, we could live here. Everywhere from New York City to, areas in Colorado, a lot of different areas in Colorado, areas in Arizona, areas in Nevada, areas in New Mexico, areas in Utah, areas in North Carolina, areas in Tennessee. Like, we love all of these other places 1,000 times more than we love where we are, but we don't do it because we don't want our kids to lose all those friends. And sure, they'd make new friends and maybe forget about these or maybe keep in touch. Who knows? I moved around multiple times as a kid. But because of that, and so did my wife, we also know it can be hard. So you've got to look out for your kids. You've got to do what's best for them. But if they're going to be targeted by this administration, you may not have a choice. So I guess to sum it all up, it may not be the answer that you're looking for, but I hope it did maybe put things a little bit more clear for you, because again, I don't want to tell you yes, leave, or no, stay, because my situation is not your situation. But if you have the means to do it, if your family or yourself, if you're being targeted by legislation, then you do